When will America break free from the clutches of the grifters? Donald Trump just yesterday unleashed this barely coherent rant about the possibility that Joe Biden is going to release all the archived documents from the White House from January 6th. Trump was president then, but Biden is now, and he controls the archives, right? And Trump, he actually thought he was going to pull off the ultimate grift, which is what, for example, Jair Bolsonaro is doing in Brazil, where relatives of his are acquiring major industries. It's what happened in Hungary, when Viktor Orban has now virtually every major industry in Hungary, particularly the media, are owned by friends or relatives of Viktor Orban. The same thing is happening in Turkey. The same thing happened in Russia. The same thing is happening in the Philippines. And Trump thought he could do that in the United States. That was his whole re-election plan. Or his post-reelection plan. And thus, it should surprise nobody that when Trump lost the election, he continued to grift. I got 2 emails from him yesterday. I got one from him this morning. Every single one asking for money. And he's raising money. He's raised several $100 million since he lost the presidency. Can you imagine if Jimmy Carter had done that, or if Al Gore had done? I mean, it's mind-boggling. It was the Supreme Court that cracked open this door back in 1976 with the Buckley decision. You've heard me rant about this for years. 2 years later in 78 with the Bellotti decision, they said that not only billionaires can own politicians, that was 76, but corporations can own politicians too, that was 78. We had never before in the history of America, or to the best of my knowledge, any other civilized country, said that when billionaires and corporations openly own politicians, that's just free speech. I got a note this morning from somebody in Arizona saying that this the front group for the big insurance companies is running ads all across Arizona thanking Kirsten Sinema for supporting Medicare Advantage. Yeah, I can't speak from firsthand knowledge that that's the case, but I have seen it referenced in other places, so I give it some credibility. And then, of course, in 2010 with Citizens United, they doubled and tripled down on this. So I think you could safely say the last Republican who wasn't a professional grifter was Richard Nixon. And he was not a grifter. He was just a good old-fashioned crook. He was a liar. He took bribes. He was just a good old-fashioned crook. But grifters occupy a unique niche in the world of criminals. They're not violent. But they live and act only to enrich themselves, whether it's money or sex or power or all three. They're typically high-functioning sociopaths. They sneer at the rules of civilized society. They combine this skill set, which is not all that rare, of being charming and being great salesmen and storytellers, with an absolute and utter lack of conscience or respect for the truth. They believe, because they're sociopaths, they believe that they're the only real people in the world, that everybody else is just a cardboard cutout here to serve them or make them happy, and that our emotions, we other people, we're just like shadows. It's not real. Their emotions, their fears, their loves, their hates, their hopes, their dreams, those are the only true emotions in the world. That's how these people think. And because of these 3 Supreme Court decisions, Buckley, Bellotti, and Citizens United, the Republican Party has now become one giant in-crowd of professional grifters, most of them getting rich, some of them just getting famous. Lauren Boebert trying to, leverage her fame to make her little failing restaurant work. Or Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to start a career as a seditionist, or sometimes they're just, hustling. I mean, Matt Gaetz trying to, can you say get in the pants of on the air? I guess you can, of underage girls. I mean, this is what the Republican Party has come to. Reagan was once, an FDR Democrat. He recorded ads for Hubert Humphrey when he was running for senator in Minneapolis, saying he's helping with the New Deal. He's helping President Roosevelt. That was Ronald Reagan. Then, he dumped his first wife for Nancy Davis. She introduced him to her rich daddy, the neurosurgeon, and who hooked him up with General Electric and said, son, You change your politics and we'll make you rich, and you might even have a future in politics because you have such a nice smile and you can memorize lines really well. Reagan was the first professional grifter, Republican politician, professional grifter of the modern era. Newt Gingrich then followed up, right, during the Clinton administration, yelling and screaming about Bill Clinton, the immorality of Monica, while he's then going down the hall and porking Callista, his now third wife. Back then he was married to his second wife. And I'm still getting an email at least once a week from Newt Gingrich begging for money for him and Donald Trump, and you know where that money is going. Paul Ryan pimped for the super rich throughout his career in the House. Now he's making millions. He's on the board of directors of Fox News, et cetera. Dick Cheney, he knew that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but he had, when he was CEO of Halliburton, you know, they bought Dresser Industries. They had this huge asbestos liability. They were looking at a real crisis. So, hey, a little war and you know, one of the first brand new companies to become a defense contractor used to be an oil company. You know, Halliburton invented fracking. Used to be an oil company, but hey, we can turn it into a defense company and give them billions in dollars in defense contracts, no bid contracts. Clarence Thomas and Anthony Scalia knew that, you know, going quail hunting with somebody before the court, in this case it was Dick Cheney, 3 weeks before his trial, or letting your spouse take hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Heritage Foundation, as Clarence Thomas did. They knew that if any other federal judge did this, there'd be hell to pay, but they were on the grift. They just exempted themselves from the Federal Code of Judicial Conduct. They helped write the grift with Citizens United. And now it's gone fully party-wide, and it's even picked up a few Democrats along the way. Some guys and gals in Congress say, you know, yeah, well, I'll get rich with big pharma. That's like the Kurt Schrader scam here in Oregon. Others choose to make their money with big oil or big coal. Or they're deeply in the pockets of the airlines or the telecom companies or the tobacco industry or the banks or the insurance companies or the food and hospitality. You know, there's lots and lots of wealthy industries out there, or right-wing billionaires, that you can be the pet charity for. Some Republicans are even running day trading operations on insider information out of their offices until on this program 14 years ago, Congressman Brian Baird, then Congressman Brian Baird of Washington, blew the whole scam open. You know, they all, like Bob Dylan saying, you know, you got to serve somebody. Yeah, they're all looking around, who am I going to serve? So it shouldn't surprise us that in 2016, the GOP put a grifter up as president. And that he would choose grifters like Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross for his cabinet. Forbes magazine said, literally, this is a quote from Forbes magazine, Wilbur Ross ranks among the biggest grifters in American history. End of quote. I mean, everybody in the Republican Party is either stuffing their leadership packs with money they can dip into after they leave office, living high on the hog, or using their positions to get famous or get sex, frankly. And I've been running a contest on this show since 2003 that if you can name one piece of legislation written by Republicans, introduced into Congress by Republicans, passed by a majority of Republicans, signed by a Republican president, whose principal beneficiary was either average working people or the poor, you win a prize. Your choice of any of my books autographed by the author. I'll mail it to you. Nobody's ever won the prize. Nobody ever will. That's not to say that the Democratic Party doesn't have a few grifters. After all, when the Supreme Court legalized political grifting, they didn't say it's only for Republicans. But the single largest caucus in the Democratic Party is the Congressional Progressive Caucus that Bernie Sanders co-founded. And they refuse corporate PAC money. You're going to hear from the vice president of that caucus in the next hour. He'll be taking your calls for the whole hour, Congressman Ro Khanna. Mark Pocan on this program regularly tells the joke about how, you know, there's three pharma lobbyists for every member of Congress, but I have no idea who my three are. Because he doesn't talk to lobbyists. So, you know, by and large, the Democratic Party is the last bastion of honesty here. But, we still have a few problems with people like Manchin and Sinema who are in on the grift. Maybe the 2022 election will win us enough seats that we can get around our own grifters. I don't know. But we have a big job ahead of us, a very big job ahead of us. And I'm up to it. I'm working on it. It's up to activists and voters, you and me,